Hi, I'm Neil. I've always been the kind of uncle who shows up with the best birthday presents and takes his niece to the movies when her parents need a break. Sarah and I had this thing where we'd make up silly handshakes every time we saw each other. Her favorite was the one where we'd pretend to sneeze glitter. Kids, right? Uncle Neil, we're moving to London next month, Sarah told me last year, her blue eyes wide with a mix of excitement and sadness. Mom got that super important job she wanted. That's amazing, Squirt, I replied, trying to sound enthusiastic while fighting back the lump in my throat. You're going to have so many adventures. But who's going to take me for ice cream after school on Fridays? She asked, tugging at my sleeve. We'll have virtual ice cream dates. I'll send you American treats in the mail, and you can tell me all about those fancy British desserts. That was a year ago. Sarah and my sister Jessica had settled nicely into their new life abroad. We had video calls every Sunday without fail. So when my phone rang on a random Tuesday afternoon, and the caller identified himself as Detective Rodriguez from the local police department, I was merely curious until he mentioned Sarah. Mr. Campbell, we have your niece Sarah in custody. We need you to come down to the station immediately. That's impossible, I said, nearly dropping my coffee mug. Sarah's been living in London for the past year with my sister. There was a long pause. Sir, we picked her up 2 hours ago at Westfield Mall for shoplifting. She gave us your contact information. Detective, I literally spoke with Sarah this morning before her school day in London. There's been some mistake. Mr. Campbell, could you still come down to the station? We need to sort this out. 45 minutes later, I was sitting across from Detective Rodriguez, a serious man with salt and pepper hair and tired eyes. Show me this girl who claims to be Sarah, I demanded. Detective Rodriguez slid a tablet across the desk. On the screen was a security camera image of a young girl with dark hair, nothing like Sarah's blonde curls. That is absolutely not my niece, I said firmly. The girl provided detailed information, your address, phone number, even mentioned the glitter handshake, Rodriguez said, eyebrows raised. My blood ran cold. Someone has been accessing my niece's information. Where is this girl now? We've released her to a woman claiming to be her mother. She had ID and everything seemed in order. I pulled out my phone and video called Jessica. Neil, is everything okay? It's the middle of the night here, Jessica answered, her voice groggy. Jess, someone just impersonated Sarah at the mall here. They got caught shoplifting and gave the police my information. Jessica sat upright. What? How is that possible? Detective, this is my sister and Sarah's mother, I said, turning the phone. Rodriguez leaned forward. Ma'am, when did your family leave the country? Last June. We've been in London for 13 months now. After the call ended, Rodriguez looked deeply troubled. Mr. Campbell, it appears we're dealing with identity theft. Someone has accessed your niece's personal information. Who would do this? And why target a 10-year-old girl who doesn't even live here anymore? That's what we need to find out, Rodriguez replied, typing notes. Do you know anyone who might have access to your niece's personal information? That's when it hit me. Mike Dawson, the IT administrator at Sarah's old school. He'd always been overly friendly, asking too many questions about Sarah even after she'd left. I remembered him commenting on our social media posts about Sarah's move to London. Detective, I said slowly, I think I might know where to start looking. The next morning, I met with my friend Marcus at his cybersecurity office. Marcus had been my college roommate and now ran his own digital forensics company. Let me get this straight, Marcus said, spinning in his ergonomic chair. Some random kid is pretending to be Sarah, knows your personal handshake, and had enough of your information to convince the police she was your niece? Exactly, I replied, pacing around his office. And I think it might be connected to her old school. The IT guy there, Mike Dawson, always gave me weird vibes. What kind of weird vibes? Marcus asked, fingers already flying across his keyboard. Too interested in Sarah, asked too many questions about her new school in London. Even commented on Jessica's social media posts about their move. Schools have tons of personal data, Marcus nodded. Birth certificates, social security numbers, emergency contacts, medical records. If someone wanted to steal a kid's identity, that would be the jackpot. Can you look into him? Already on it, Marcus replied. But we should also talk to someone at the school, someone who worked directly with student records. An hour later, we were sitting across from Karen Chen, the administrative assistant at Westridge Elementary. Neil, it's been ages. How's Sarah doing in London? Karen greeted me warmly. She's great, Karen. Listen, something strange happened. The police called me yesterday saying they had Sarah in custody. Karen's eyebrows shot up. But that's impossible. Exactly, someone is pretending to be her. I need to know if there have been any unusual requests for Sarah's records since she left. Karen frowned. Let me check the system. She typed for a few moments. That's odd. Sarah's digital file has been accessed several times in the last month. Usually once a student transfers, their file goes dormant. Who accessed it? Marcus asked. I can't tell specifically, but it would have to be someone with admin privileges. Like Mike Dawson? I suggested. Karen's expression changed. Mike, yes, he would have access. But Neil? Mike's the sweetest guy. He volunteers for every school function, helps the teachers with tech issues on his own time. Has Mike been acting differently lately? I pressed. Well, Karen hesitated. He did mention having a daughter recently, which is strange because in the 5 years I've worked with him, he never mentioned having children before. A daughter? My stomach dropped. Around 10 years old? Karen nodded slowly. I saw them together at the mall a few weeks ago. Dark-haired little girl. He introduced her as Emma. Just then, Vice Principal Walsh walked in. Neil Campbell, what are you doing here? Investigating identity theft, I replied bluntly. Identity theft? That's a serious accusation. Someone is pretending to be my niece who moved abroad a year ago, I explained. They knew details only someone with access to her records would know. And you're implying someone at our school is responsible? Walsh's face reddened. That's outrageous. We have strict protocols. Someone accessed Sarah's files multiple times last month, I countered. That would be standard administrative cleanup, Walsh dismissed. Mike's been organizing our digital archives. Mike Dawson has suddenly acquired a daughter the same age as my niece, I said. Don't you find that suspicious? How dare you, Walsh exploded. Mike is one of our most dedicated employees. He would never what? Detective Rodriguez interrupted, appearing at the doorway with his badge. Mr. Campbell, I ran those preliminary checks. We need to talk to Mr. Dawson immediately. He's in the server room, Karen said quietly, avoiding Walsh's furious glare. Let's go have a chat with Mike, I said to Rodriguez. We found Mike Dawson in the school's server room, hunched over a computer. When he saw us, his eyes widened behind his glasses. Mike Dawson? Rodriguez asked, showing his badge. Detective Rodriguez, I'd like to ask you some questions about Sarah Campbell. Mike's fingers froze over the keyboard. Sarah Campbell, she transferred to London last year. Then why have you accessed her student records 17 times in the past month, I asked. Mike swallowed hard. Standard data archiving, nothing unusual. Is that why a girl claiming to be Sarah Campbell was caught shoplifting yesterday? A girl who looks remarkably like the daughter you've suddenly started mentioning at work? I stepped closer. A daughter no one knew about until recently? You don't understand, Mike stammered, rising from his chair. Emma is my daughter. Then why was she calling herself Sarah Campbell? Rodriguez asked. Why did she give the police Mr. Campbell's contact information? Mike's face crumpled. It's complicated. Uncomplicated, I demanded. Why are you using my niece's identity for your daughter? I don't have custody of Emma, Mike blurted. Her mother won full custody 3 years ago and moved to California. She won't let me see Emma. So you stole her? Rodriguez's voice sharpened. No, she ran away. She found me. What was I supposed to do, send her back to a mother who neglects her? Mike's voice cracked. Emma needed school records, medical care. I couldn't use her real information or her mother would find us. So you stole my niece's identity? I was incredulous. You put my family at risk? I'm sorry, Neil. I never meant for this to affect you. Sarah's records were perfect. Same age as Emma, already transferred out of the system. No one would notice. No one except the police when your daughter got caught shoplifting and dragged my name into it? Emma made a mistake. She panicked. Where is she now? Rodriguez asked. At home. Our apartment on Maple Street. Mike's shoulders slumped. Please, you don't understand what her mother is like. What I understand, I said, leaning in, is that you committed identity theft, endangered a child, and potentially ruined my niece's clean record. I was desperate. I said, I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't cut it, Mike. You had options, legal options. You could have filed for custody revision, reported neglect, worked through the system. I tried, Mike shouted, suddenly lurching toward me. For 3 years, I tried. The system failed us. Rodriguez stepped between us. Mr. Dawson, I need you to step back. You're going to take her away. Mike's voice rose hysterically. He grabbed my shirt. You can't do this. She needs me. Take your hands off me, I warned. I'll ruin you if you do this, Mike threatened, shoving me against a server rack. I have access to everything in this system. I can destroy your credit, your reputation. Rodriguez pulled Mike away. That's enough. Michael Dawson, you're under arrest for identity theft, assault, and making terroristic threats. As Rodriguez cuffed him, Mike's anger dissolved into pleading. Neil, please, I'm begging you. She can't go back to her mother. I'm sorry about using Sarah's information. We can fix this. Please, for Emma's sake. I looked at him coldly. You should have thought about Emma's sake before you decided to commit multiple felonies. The following weeks were a flurry of legal proceedings. I sat in the district attorney's office with Detective Rodriguez, giving my official statement. We've contacted Child Protective Services, Rodriguez explained. Emma, whose real name is Lily, is in temporary foster care while they investigate her mother's situation. What happens to her now, I asked. That depends on the investigation. If the mother is truly neglectful, as Dawson claimed, Lily will remain in state custody while they determine the best placement. And Mike, multiple charges, identity theft, interference with custody, falsifying government documents, and assault. The DA is pushing for maximum penalties given the exploitation of a child's identity. I nodded, feeling no satisfaction in Mike's downfall, only relief that the situation was being handled properly. That evening, I video called Jessica and Sarah in London. So this man was pretending I was his daughter? Sarah asked, her eyes wide with disbelief. Yes, sweetheart. He used your school records to create a new identity for his daughter. That's creepy, Sarah shuddered. Is his real daughter okay? They're making sure she's safe, I reassured her. The police are very good at their jobs. What about our personal information? Jessica asked, concern etched on her face. Is Sarah at risk? Marcus has set up identity monitoring for both of you, I explained. We've also notified all 3 credit bureaus to place a freeze on Sarah's social security number until she's an adult. This is crazy, Jessica sighed. All those forms we fill out, never thinking they could be misused like this. 2 days later, Mike requested to speak with me before his bail hearing. Against my better judgment, I agreed. Neil, Mike began as soon as I sat down across from him in the visitation room. I want to apologize again. I was desperate and made terrible choices. Save it, Mike. Apologies don't undo the damage. I know, but please understand, I love my daughter. Everything I did was to protect her. By teaching her to steal, to lie, to use someone else's identity, that's not protection, that's corruption. I made mistakes, Mike insisted, but we could work something out. Drop the charges and I'll make sure all traces of Sarah's information are erased. That information should never have been misused in the first place, I replied coldly. And it's not my decision to drop charges. This is a criminal case now. Please, Neil, I could lose everything. My career, my freedom, my daughter. You lost those things the moment you decided to break the law instead of working through proper channels. Everyone deserves a second chance, Mike pleaded. Maybe, but not at my niece's expense. I stood up. I hope you get help, Mike, and I hope your daughter gets the support she needs from people who will teach her right from wrong. Later that week, I met Marcus for coffee. The identity monitoring is all set up, Marcus confirmed, and the school has completely overhauled their data security protocols. Good, I nodded. This whole thing has been a wake-up call. I never realized how vulnerable kids' information could be. Most people don't, Marcus replied, until something like this happens. The worst part is I almost understand his desperation. Almost. Understanding doesn't mean excusing, Marcus pointed out. There's always a right way and a wrong way. Sarah asked me yesterday if she should be scared about someone stealing her identity again, I sighed. What did you tell her? The truth, that while we can't control what others might do, we can be proactive in protecting ourselves. I paused. Do you think I was too harsh with Mike? Not at all. Compassion doesn't mean enabling harmful behavior. Sometimes the most compassionate thing is making sure someone faces the consequences of their actions. I hope his daughter ends up somewhere safe. That's the difference between you and Mike, Marcus said. You're thinking about what's best for the child. He was only thinking about himself. I nodded slowly. You know, this has me wondering, how many other families are vulnerable like this? How many people don't realize their information is at risk? That's a question worth exploring, Marcus agreed. Maybe this situation could help others protect themselves. Maybe it could, I said thoughtfully. Maybe it should. Have you ever considered how much of your personal information or your children's is stored in databases across schools, doctors' offices, and government agencies? And more importantly, Have you taken steps to protect it?